What are the pediatricians saying in your country about this?
They hate raw milk. They have an organization called the American Pediatrics Association, and their public opinion is that raw milk is horrendous and terrible.
So what are you doing about that?
Well, we continue to ignore them, and we talk to our pediatrician friends all the time, and the mothers go in with their children to the pediatricians and say, my children have wonderful immune systems, they never get ear infections, and they drink raw milk from organic pasture dairy, and by the way, you should go visit them and have your kids on it too. And they get in this little tit-a-tat about raw milk, and Dr. Oz says, yeah, raw milk's great, just know your farmer. Oprah Winfrey's, doctor. So the causes, it's happening. The pediatricians, what's a pediatrician? A pediatrician is a result, it's a highly trained doctor who's gone through medical school, trained to administer pharmaceutical drugs and do a diagnosis of chronic disease and take away the signs and symptoms of that disease using antibiotics and therapeutic regimens and some surgery. They are not prevention doctors. They're not healers in terms of taking care of the underlying problems. Now, there are exceptions to that. A lot of the ODs, or the DOs, I should say, are trained in that, and some of the homeopaths are trained in that, and naturopaths are trained in that. And some of the modern pediatricians are getting some of that training because it works so well. But generally speaking, the older generations don't have that training. So why would they ever have any opinion other than that? They're not wrong. It's just the only thing they know. So it's up to us to show them a better way. We can show them, hey, here's this 14 studies from Europe that show that asthma gets better real quick with raw milk, and this. There's supposed to be scientists that actually read these studies and apply them in their science. They're practicing medicine because they're always learning. And so you can be a learning tool for your doctor saying, by the way, doctor, my child drinks raw milk, but it's really safe raw milk, and it comes from this particular dairy because this other milk is not safe. He starts listening, goes, oh, there's two kinds? I've never heard of that. And then you talk about the science of mast cells being stabilized and not having histamines and all this. You're like, wow, this guy actually knows what he's talking about. There's science behind it, and it's on PubMed. You have to be smart and you have to be educated to teach the doctors what they don't know. So I pity them. It's sad that a paramedic can know more than a doctor when it comes to these particular things. I'm not a doctor, I don't claim to be a doctor, but let me tell you what, it's kind of sad when the doctors are giving drugs that cause 11 children to die every day in their best attempt at saving their lives. When I know that the children who drink raw milk are profoundly a lower risk, and we see children that had daily asthma attacks not having any, or having rare asthma attacks. So it's profound to see the true role of medicine in raw milk. And you've seen this, doctor. You've seen how raw milk, they're scratching their heads in Europe going, what's going on here? Why is raw milk such a compelling, wonderful immune system food? Math is simple. The first fruit of life. Why is breast milk raw milk? You give a child who has literally no immune system, or maybe 5% of one, has no bacteria in their gut, and you give them raw milk from mother's breast, and what are you doing? You're starting that immune system with the biodiversity of bacteria from mom's breast, all the good fats, all the enzymes, all the antibodies. And by the way, nursing is not a one-way street. When you nurse the baby, the bacteria in the baby's mouth is shared into the mom. The mom creates antibodies that's given back to the baby. It's an antibody factory relationship. It's a very, very, very incredibly wonderful, fantastic symbiotic relationship in breastfeeding. That's raw milk in action. That's building strong babies. Well, raw milk from cows builds on that relationship. Instead of going to a highly processed food that's built for shelf-stable purposes instead of gut digestibility. Remember, Dr. Rich German said that children cannot eat things that are not whole. They need their enzymes and bacteria because it has to break down quickly. They don't have the function, the structure in their gut to digest things that are shelf-stable. They sit in there and just rot. They need things to break down quickly and assimilate and become enzymatically active, and the enzymes and the vitamins and all the immune system factors all working like it's supposed to work. And that's what raw milk does for children when done properly. So there's a big battle here, and it's an educational battle. And I would say that the Human Genome Project in 2003 was a chapter change, where we went from scientists truly believing that our bodies were basically sterile, being invaded by a bad bug that makes us sick, versus packed filled with bacteria critical to our health, that the imbalance of bacteria makes us sick, where you didn't have enough good ones, so the bad ones took over. We're packed filled with bacteria, and it's critical that we have those bacteria, or else we do get sick. Hence probiotics, hence the role of bacteria in our bodies. Hence why raw milk is so critical, and fermented forms of it, and other whole food nutrition that feed the bacteria, that create the environment where the bacteria want to thrive. So that happened in 2003, that's only 12 years ago. So the scientists have believed for a long, long time that, boy, antibiotics are fantastic. Just sterilize the body, you're good to go. No, that's when you do get sick. You really get sick. C. diff. Clostridium difficile. Big killer, 20,000 people a year. After multiple rounds of antibiotics in ICUs. Kills a lot of people. What's the definitive treatment today for C. diff? Fecal transplant. What could be more definitive than taking the good gut content of a healthy person and putting it into someone who's about to die and saving 90% of the time, saving their lives? So if that doesn't tell a story about the role of good bacteria, nothing will. So it's just coming on strong. It's not going to go away, but it takes responsible producers of raw milk. Because remember, if you do a crappy job of raw milk, yeah, you're going to make somebody sick. Absolutely. And it should be pasteurized. But if you're doing a good, responsible job of raw milk production, and what gets measured get done, you're going to have a great raw milk that's very low risk, and people are going to thrive on it. So there's a place for it here in Australia. So it's up to you as a group to stand up, show up, and speak up, and make your government accountable to you, the consumer. The one thing that's happened here, and it's really tragic, is industry decides for you what you're going to eat. It's time for you to decide, as a consumer, how your dollar is voted, and support that and absolutely attack. Go after it yourself. Responsibly, appropriately, non-violently, if you can control yourselves. But do the best you can to go forward and actually propose good proposals and be there. Show up. Show up. Show up at the meetings.